Welcome to the Here and Now show. I am your host, Lavonda Marshall. And if you tuned into my Here and Now show, you know that the Here and Now show is a place where I've taken real life events and turned them into a positive living. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave it in a message box because all voices matter. If you've been with my show, you know I'm coming from the Midwest where we show in and show out. Gotta love your city. Hello, somebody. So welcome. I feel great. You should feel great, guys. I got to put on my glasses. I should feel blessed. You feel blessed. We should all feel blessed. And if you've been rolling with me for the very beginning, I want to say thank you. And if this is your first time joining, welcome to the family. I love you, and I'm glad to be here, right now, because this is a space where we talk about real life. We have real life conversation, real life people, real healing, real growing. Got a little tongue twist and real conversation. But today's conversation, I think, is something that we all should talk about, but not a lot of us need to talk about. We need to hear a little more about. I'm talking about joy. That's right. I'm talking about living your life with positivity, being confident and happy and peace, living with peace. Because let me tell you something, society, oh my God, it would have you thinking that you have to look a certain way. Like, it would make you think you have to make a certain amount of money or have a certain type of relationship or drive a certain car just because they want you to belong. Who made these rules? I know, like society and people. Like at the end of the day, who wakes up and says everybody has to look like this? Either everybody has to look a certain way, because if that was told, I missed that meeting. But seriously, you don't have to become somebody else in this world to be part of this world, because you're already somebody, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're tall, skinny, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Whether you're thick, thin, or older or younger, no makeup, lots of makeup, bald, gray, or natural or funny, simply because you are a human being and you are still here. We all look different and we all think different. Like men and women, we think different. We think different as human beings because there's been different experiences that people have. We have different personalities. We have different opinions. But at the end of the day, we all bleed. At the end of the day, we all cried before. We'll laugh. At the end of the day, we've all been disappointed before. And we all want to feel love. We all want to feel respect. And we all deserve to experience some joy in our life. So today I'm talking about taking that pressure off. Yes, I said it. I'm talking about the joy in you. I'm like, what? What do you mean the joy in you? You, loving yourself, and not refusing to let society make you feel that you have to be beautiful in a certain way. I want you to protect your peace, learning how to live instead of constantly trying to impress everybody. So go ahead and grab that coffee or grab that cold water, or like me, grab that snack I've been waiting to eat. Oh my goodness, I can't, or come and sit by yourself with me, or come bring a friend, bring your favorite friend, and you guys come and join. But if you guys know me, I like to jazz before I get into it. So we're gonna play a little bit of jazz before we dive into it, and then let's get into the vibe. So let's jazz it out. Thank you for joining. I want to say hi to you too. So thank you for joining. We're gonna vibe a little bit with a little jazz, cause the jazz sets the mood, and if you've been rocking with me, at the beginning of my shows, I love to jazz it out. Just a few more seconds, y'all. Grab that coffee, grab that tea, grab that snack that you need it to be. Welcome back, welcome back. I know you guys are probably like, that wasn't even long enough to grab some water or anything. I know, but time is an essence. But welcome back again. As you might have already seen from the topic today, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Thank you very much. But as you guys can see from the topic today, I said that we're talking about joy, like simply having joy in your life, positivity, peace, and living your life right here, right now. Not because, you just lost weight. And if you have, congratulations. And not because you get that relationship. And if you have, I'm happy for you. Not when your money's getting good. Keep winning. Not when everybody finally understands you. No. And men, this conversation is for you too. You know, men, fellas, you guys deserve peace as well, right? Hi, how you doing? And you deserve to have enjoyment in your life without feeling like you have to be the strong one all the time. And ladies, me, even myself, sometimes we know that we spend a lot of time taking care of everybody else, but we have to also take time outside of that and remember that we are here on this earth to have purpose and have joy, you know. So so my point is, stop postponing your joy. I admit that. Thank you very much. You're an adorable soul too. So stop saying that you'll get happy when you get that man or that relationship or that woman. You'll get happy when your money gets better, or you'll be happy when the kids finally move out, you know, or you'll get happy when you finally get that respect. No, you don't need permission to smile. You don't need permission to dress nice. You know what I mean? You don't need permission to enjoy your own company. Do you know what it feels like to enjoy your own company? Sometimes that's going for a late night ride, just you and your car, you and your thoughts riding along with nobody else there. That is a different type of peace. You know, your happiness cannot always be waiting on somebody to arrive. You have to bring your own happiness, because sometimes people wait for their happiness, and you don't have to do that. You can bring your own. Questions. Um, One question I have, someone said, can you really have a positive life when things is going wrong? And I'll answer that. See, I know you're serious here and discussing something important, but you are married or you're engaged. Neither. So, but you can answer the questions. I'm neither. A question that was asked was, can you really have a positive life when things is going wrong? My answer to that is yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you absolutely can. Being positive doesn't mean that you're pretending that everything is okay. It's saying this situation may not be good, and you can still cry about it and still have hope. You understand? You can still have disappointment and still believe that there is a tomorrow, and believe that things can get better, and you can still have bad days without deciding that this is the bad day for the rest of your life. And that's the difference. That means I'm standing a chance. I don't know, friends, you meet people on the internet, and you just never know who you might meet. So, just never know. Another question that was asked is, have you ever had one of those mornings? Oh, that wasn't a question. That wasn't a question. That comes later. So I do have a question for you guys. Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up and you're already irritated, and you didn't do anything but just literally get out the bed and open your eyes, right? And soon as you get up, and before you can get into the bathroom and start brushing your teeth, somebody texts you with some foolishness. Oh my God. And then you're like, oh my Lord, I haven't even took a breakfast yet or even took a deep breath before somebody started getting on my nerves. But this is when you stop and you take a breath and you say, wait a minute. One, I just got up. But two, I will not allow somebody else to remotely control how my mood's going to be. Give me my remote back, Yeah, I've experienced that almost every day. Yeah, but we can't let that feeling control the rest of our day, because, you know, can't allow somebody else to decide if we're going to have a good day or a bad day. We have to decide that. We can't let your boss, them bosses can do it. The bosses can do it. Another question was, what if people don't support my happiness? Well, I say, if people don't support your happiness, let them not support it. It's okay. Some people do not understand your happiness, and mainly they probably didn't understand because they liked it you better when you were struggling. And now that you're not struggling, sometimes that makes them uncomfortable. But no, you should not. If they don't support you, it's okay. Sometimes you just gotta clap for yourself. Just know that, you know, always remember that. Not everybody's gonna be there. And also I want you guys to remember that there is always joy after the pain. There's joy after the rain. You know, sometimes, walking through the rain, and I don't literally mean like walking through the rain. However, pain can feel like you're walking through the rain. But what I mean, it feels more like disappointment or being overlooked or being drained or just things that are just trying to hold it together, just trying to do what you got to do to keep surviving. So is is 1974 important? Is 19 on the 7th? Well, I'll tell you something about 1974. That might be the year I was born, but yeah. Okay, so me again, like I said, it's not literally walking through the rain, but it's the hurt that you feel sometimes, the feeling of losing someone or losing that relationship. Sometimes, walking in the rain feels like betrayal. Sometimes it feels like grief. Sometimes it feels like being, being anxious all the time. Or sometimes it feels like loneliness or being burnt out or having to start over when you didn't ask someone to start your life over. But my point is, the rain is real, but that is not the end of your story, right? It's not the end of your story. So always remember that, because there is still joy after pain. After the rain, there is peace after pain. There is life after a loss. There's laughter after the heartbreak. There is something beautiful waiting for you on the other side of that hurt. You just got to believe that. And I'm talking about the kind of joy that comes after you have survived something. Okay. Well, see, I don't want to disturb you, but I'm already. Oh, well, you're not disturbing me, so we could just continue on. Um, so as I was saying, that the kind of joy I'm talking about is the kind of joy that comes after you have survived something. After you survived a breakup or after you survive something that tried to break you. That kind of joy is different, and it hits and it's different and it's deeper, but it's real. Because, we all have hard seasons, correct? But sometimes in them hard seasons, after the rain stops, like I said, sometimes, you said, okay, the rain is over, but the fear is still there. The relationship ended, but the damage still lingers, or, the betrayal's over, but the trust issue still remains. How can a person fall in love with such? I don't know. Emotions are crazy these days. Does the struggle will pass, but you're still exhausted and you still stayed, right? You know. So now that the storm is gone, but your nerve system is just like, oh, it's still embracing for something to happen. And that's real, and I don't want to sit up here and give anybody no shallow message. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell you to just smile or just be grateful or just move on or just think positive and however all those things are important. But the thing is, some of us has been through far more than just surface level answers. Thank you. The surface level answer. So I understand that what happened to you, it does matter, but realizing that you survived, your survival wasn't the end of your destination, that you still continue to go. Can I listen to you all day? Oh man, you probably get tired after a while. All day is a long time. But everybody does not deserve access to your peace. So, when you're looking for that joy, you got to remember that as well. Everybody doesn't deserve an explanation. Everybody doesn't deserve your energy, and everybody doesn't deserve to ruin your day. Nobody deserves to ruin your day, so you can't let people ruin your day. So sometimes protecting your peace means, saying, listen, I got to protect my peace by saying, I love you and I love you much, but I have to love you from over there. It's worrying that, hey, everything's going to be okay, but I can care from you from across the way because, this is doing too much. It's messing with my mental. And fellas, my men, let me say this. You don't always have to act like nothing bothers you. You can say, I'm tired. You can say, I need help. I need a break. I need to be loved. I want somebody to listen. That's not weakness, man. That's being human. You understand? That's being human. You deserve joy too, man. You guys deserve it. You don't have to spend your whole life thinking you're tough. Maybe you might get tired talking, but there's no way I could get tired of reminding you. I don't think I would ever get tired of talking. That's the thing. Talking is just something we like to do. So, if you're blessed to be able to talk, keep talking, but sometimes, being strong means knowing when to take a break. Sometimes being strong is knowing when to walk away from drama. Sometimes being strong is, not winning every argument. Sometimes it's not about winning every argument. It's actually about not winning every argument because it's not worth losing your peace you know. And by the way, I do ask questions at the end, so you could, save your questions because I'll answer them a little bit shortly after this. You understand? And women, we have to stop thinking our entire purpose is to take care of everyone else. I know we love our children, we love our spouses if we have one, we love our family, we love our friends, but we cannot forget that outside of that, you deserve to have needs for yourself. Go laugh. Ha. Take care of yourself. Take yourself out to dinner. You ever take yourself out to dinner? That's always nice. I've taken myself out to dinner a couple times. How long has it been since someone has held a beautiful hand? Um, there's no expiration date on that because I'm single, so I haven't been holding any hands. I've been holding on to my own. Um, so yeah, go laugh, go buy that outfit, go shop for yourself, dance in your living room. And if somebody says, "What's wrong with you?" you answer with, "I'm doing me, myself, and I." And by the way, it looks good over here. So you have to remember that. There was another question that was asked. So one of the questions was, and you can answer it too. How do I feel joy again after going through hard times? How do you feel joy again after going through hard times? I think you should start small, and don't fix your whole life. Try to fix your whole life in one day. you know Find something that makes you smile. For me, I like listening to music or taking a walk if it's not too hot outside, or calling somebody that makes you laugh. That's always good. Or watching something on television that makes you laugh. I do that a lot. Watch a lot of sitcoms. I'm like, hey, let me sit here and watch this show because it's gonna make me laugh. And or call someone up that always in good spirits to keep you in your good spirits. Write about it. You know what I mean? Give yourself permission to feel again. That is the thing. Give yourself permission to feel again. Um, and sometimes just remember that sometimes joy is not going to come running into your life. Sometimes you have to invite it. You have to accept that I can have joy. And a bad chapter in your life doesn't mean it's a bad book, right? So if you know something, or someone that might need to hear this, or maybe you need to hear it. I don't know. Maybe you can, because you can explain about, we know about the heartbreak and we know what it feels like to be disappointed, betrayed, and all those things. But the mistakes that you made are not the end of your chapter. Okay. How do I smile again? Of course. Try and get a glimpse of Miss Lavonda Marshall. Yeah, really nice. Thank you very much. If that keeps you smiling, well, looks like we'll both be smiling together. That's what it's all about, right? So please don't let something that has happened to you convince you that you're not good enough. You know, that convincing you that nothing else can ever happen in your life because of this incident. No, that is not true. However, life will humble you. But here's what I've learned. Sometimes the detour isn't punishment. Sometimes that detour is to protect you. And sometimes that door that closed is better that it closed because guess what? There's something else waiting behind that other door. Are you open to dating someone? Um, well, I would say this. I don't know. But um, if you have like questions when we're going to the end, I can't, but I'm going to answer that. I can't say that I am, and I can't say that I'm not. I don't know. Because, at this part of my